Operator, won't you put me on it through? I'm going to send some angst down to Baton Rouge. The Texas A&M Aggies headed to LSU. LSU facing a must-win if it would like to stay in the college football playoff conversation. It feels like to me, Ari, that LSU's fan base is already out on Brian Kelly, already out on the idea of this Tigers team making the CFP. But mathematically, they are still alive. And if they can knock off a 7-0 Texas A&M team, they'd still be capable of beating pretty much anybody on their schedule. But I feel like this game in particular, this matchup in particular, really just feeds into the agita of the LSU fan base because like they like what Blake Baker's done defensively, their defensive coordinator. But this game last year was the one where Connor Wegman gets pulled, Marcel Reed comes in, and LSU suddenly goes from dominating to getting dominated, and it just never recovered after that last year. Texas A&M, meanwhile, seems to have built the whole plane now around Marcel Reed. And I got to tell you, Ari, I don't like LSU's chances in this game.
Let's play our annual Sunday game, Andy. Guess the BetMGM line. Go. No clues.
All right. I am going to guess that Texas A&M is a road favorite of 2.5 points.
LSU is a 4.5-point favorite.
I was going to say, don't they watch the games? But clearly they do because they had Vandy as a favorite against LSU last week, and it turned out to be a very sharp line.
So it's a night game in Baton Rouge.
Yes.
And historically, under Brian Kelly, they've done quite well in this environment. Also, Texas A&M is 7-0, but Texas A&M is not blowing people out.
No.
So I can understand, like, from a defensive standpoint, hopefully they'll be prepared for Marcel Reed a little bit better than last time. He came out of the off the bench. And
were they prepared for Diego Pavia?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to like
I mean,
what do you want me to say? I think
this is the same situation.
Yeah, but I don't know, and we maybe could look up these offensive numbers here real quick, but like A&M can beat you offensively. But I don't know that it is a like slam dunk. A&M's undefeated. Like, don't forget those battered Aggies are waiting for the other shoe to drop there too. So like, let's just. And also, if LSU loses this game, Andy, they're playing Alabama the next game. Like their season can just totally tank in the next 2 weeks. So,
which is why the LSU fans are so off the cliff after the Vanderbilt loss, because they were looking at this game going, we already can't deal with mobile quarterbacks, and here comes a mobile quarterback who's got better receivers than Diego Pavia does.
Yeah.
Like Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion are better than the receivers Vanderbilt has. And then also Texas A&M runs the ball really well.
Yeah, Texas A&M's running back, Le'Veon Moss, is something special.
He's out. He's injured.
Yeah,
Ruben Owens the second is the one who's carrying the load. He's out for a while.
Okay, so he's not playing in this game. I thought he had like a multi-week.
Yeah, he didn't play against Arkansas either. I don't believe he's supposed to play here. But they've managed to cobble together a run game around Ruben Owens and Marcel Reed, and we'll see. I mean, Le'Veon Moss is I think week to week, game to game at this point. So.
Okay, that was my understanding. I might have missed it, so thank you for correcting me. But I thought there was, but also Ruben Owens is a 5-star prospect who has played pretty well in his place. So, I'm looking at the game here, and I think that you look at LSU, Andy, and you wonder, like, is this defense going to have one of its better games this year? Are they going to be able to corral Texas A&M's attack enough to like keep their limited offense in the game? Like, is that like the key to the game to you?
They're going to have to, because that's the thing I'm worried about. Like Texas A&M just barely got out of Arkansas, and it was one of those where Arkansas scored a little bit at the end, but it was a 45-42 game. You know, Taylon Green had success against them, but Arkansas's offense is better than LSU's offense. Arkansas has a much better play caller in Bobby Petrino than LSU has.
Yeah. And Texas A&M is 17th in total offense and 36th in scoring offense this year. So not one of the best in the country, but certainly not one of the worst statistically top 20 in any
Well,
category.
and Texas A&M's defense, when it plays against offenses that have flaws, tends to expose those flaws. You look at them against Florida, look at them against Mississippi State, look at them against Auburn. They expose the flaws of those teams.
For sure. So do we want to have a 2-minute discussion about Brian Kelly right now? Like, how important is this game for him? Like, let's do the feelings aspect of this.
Oh, it's critical. Like, he wins this game and he gets him back on his side, at least for a minute. I think it could still all go down the drain in Tuscaloosa, but he gets him back on his side for a little bit because I think that the fan base is out on him completely. And they are looking at this like, we saw you in College Station last year. We saw you, winning this game, and then all of a sudden losing this game. And that was such a strange game because LSU was dominant early, and it flipped so thoroughly and so quickly that if you're an LSU fan, you're like, "What the heck? Did I just get hit by a truck? What happened?" And so I think they're looking at this game like this is already a bad matchup if we're talking styles make fights. So he could get some goodwill back by winning this thing. And you mentioned the record at night under Brian Kelly at LSU. They're really good. The only game they've lost was that Alabama game last year. But I will point out that Alabama game last year came a similar point in the season with LSU having 2 losses, needing a win to stay alive in the college football playoff conversation. And Jalen Milroe torched them with his feet. Torched them. It was the worst case of LSU not showing up that I can remember. And so, yes, his record is good in these types of games, but in this specific circumstance, they laid the biggest egg they've laid in his tenure. And that's what scares me about this one.
Yeah. All right. How about some feelings on A&M for a minute? They're off to a 7-0 start.
Mm-hmm.
They are, listen, they won by 3 against Arkansas on Saturday, but I actually think that Arkansas was a little bit more out of the game than the score would indicate, especially at the end. Arkansas's got a pretty good offense. But A&M is sitting here undefeated right now. They've got LSU, Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, and Texas. We feel like if A&M finishes at 10-2, they're probably in the playoff, right?
They're definitely in the playoff.
So this isn't a win or season's over type scenario because I do think that they can certainly beat, everybody left on their schedule. But it almost feels like to me that if they win this game on the road on Saturday night, that's almost like punching their ticket to the playoff.
It's close. I mean, you'd have to beat South Carolina, which is obviously sliding off the cliff right now. But if you win this game, you could lose to Missouri and Texas and still make the playoff.
Right. And then also those 2 games that they would lose in that scenario are kind of free roll 50-50 actions that they can win. So I think the likelihood if they win this game of them just losing enough to not make it are slim to none. So
yeah, I was going to say, so if A&M wins this game, well, it's, I never buy how the ESPN does the playoff predictions and the percentage chance to make the playoffs, but I would imagine their percentage chance of making the playoff if they win this game is the highest in the SEC and probably higher than anybody's except maybe Ohio State and Indiana's.
I would agree with that. I would say probably north of 95%. I don't know what Ole Miss's would look like if they were to win on Saturday at Oklahoma. Theirs would probably be pretty
true.
High
That's another one where you'd feel pretty good about it.
When you think about where A&M is at as a program, I don't know that winning the SEC is the litmus test, at least coming into the year of hey, is Elko the guy? But if they make the playoff, Elko's the guy. So
Elko's 100% the guy. I'm not worried about that now. 1, I think they're going to make the playoff. 2, they just feel different. And so they're 7-0, by the way. And that's kind of a milestone for the A&M people because someone got to 6-0 a couple of times. Kevin Sumlin never got to 7-0. Now, usually they had to play Alabama at that point in the season. But that was a huge step because they haven't been 7-0 since 1994. And they are in great position. And they just keep showing up every week. But look, I will say, The Notre Dame game could have gone either way. If Tyler Buckner gets that hold down, they probably lose that game. There's a chance. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe they still march down the field and win it anyway. But A&M has had some good fortune, but has also made some good fortune.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel confident that they are going to be ready to play and well coached and competent against whoever's left on their schedule. Like that is what Mike Elko brings.
It doesn't feel like they're going to lose in a heartbreaking, funny way anymore.
Mm-mm.
It feels like they've broken out. Like it kind of reminds me of like the Nebraska discussion when Scott Frost left. It's like, how long does it take to break out of the old trends that made you feel like I said it before in the video, like the other shoe was going to drop. I don't know if we're still there with A&M. I think that they're still they're just a very good team. I don't know if they're one of the 3 best teams. They're ranked number 4 right now, I believe. I don't know if they're really the number 4 team in the country, but they have earned that spot. And I think that they're in a really good spot. So it'll be interesting to see too, like vibes versus vibes. The vibes of A&M are much higher right now than they are at LSU. How does that play a factor into the game? And of course, one team has their back up against the wall in this game more than the other. How much will that impact it? The fact it's on the road, it's going to be a tough environment. SEC, Tiger Stadium, night game. Like everyone knows those games are pretty close. And like I mentioned on the show Saturday night, the reaction show, it feels like every SEC game like this has been competitive. How many like number 12 versus number 4 or number 15 versus number 8 or any ranked matchup in the SEC has turned into a blow? Am I forgetting one? Has there been a
Alabama
blowout?
Tennessee last night is the closest thing
It's
to
the
it.
closest thing, and there was a pick 6 before halftime. But even then, like that wouldn't have been like Alabama was better. There's no question they would have won the game regardless. But the score got out of hand because of that play. That was that could have been a 14-point swing in the game, and I think the final score 17 points.
17 points, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean that yes, these have all been competitive. This probably will be competitive as well, and I can't wait because there is nothing like a night game at Death Valley. We will be there watching. We got to get you to Death Valley for a game.
Never been.
You got to be there when the sun finds its home in the western sky.
Yeah, I heard it's the best environment in all of college football, and I'd like to see that one day.
Well,
LSU,
it will be at the beginning of Saturday's game. It's up to LSU whether it stays that way or not. We'll find out.